Hi, Jackie. Nice to have you here.
Hi. Thanks for having me, Luzelle.
No worries. Now, just a quick little bit about Jackie. Jackie and I have been friends for quite some time. We met on the Facebook group United Dog Trainers back in the day when it first started.
Yes. Does it still
And
exist? I don't even know.
Yes, it does actually. And you were an admin on that group.
Ah, yes. Clearly a low bar for entry. Being admin.
Quite a high bar. That didn't ask me to be admin.
Mm-hmm. Whatever you say.
All right. So now, first things first, I want to know about the dog that taught you the most valuable lessons and basically that started it all.
That would be Mish, my husky that I had, who died last year at the ripe old age of 15. So
Wow.
So we didn't think she'd live past 9. But I got her when I was a kid, or not really a kid, a teenager, and she was a bit psycho. She was a pet shop dog. And like a lot of badly bred huskies, she had some issues. She was a bit of a resource guarder, and she had a lot of bites under her belt. And she taught me a lot about, she was a very adaptable dog, and she was really with me from the time I didn't know anything about dogs until I went through my Caesar Milan stage and my pretty positive stage until, very recently my whatever work stage. So she was just a super dog, really. For a husky, she was strange in a lot of ways. She was very ball motivated. You don't see that a lot. She was a good dog off leash. Once I started working with her a fair bit, I lived in the city, and she was off leash most of the time. She would go to the park, and she'd be, between several major roads, and she'd just stay with me. But yeah, she was just a very cool dog and taught me a lot about dogs and behaviour. And I really like primitive breeds. I think they're very interesting. I'll never have one again, but I shouldn't say never. Yeah, they're just very raw dogs, and there's something very satisfying and validating about getting their trust and having them choose to be with you, versus the other breeds that will just give it to you for free, So
absolutely, yeah. Now, her resource guarding, you had some trouble with that. Tell me a little bit about how bad that got.
So she was, when we first got her, she would guard her food bowl, and we thought it was funny, this little 4-month-old husky puppy going over a food bowl. It did a lot of things to inadvertently reinforce it, so it got significantly worse. She decided to guard anything and everything. It didn't have to be food. It didn't have to be in her possession. She could decide to guard a pen or a cup or a pillow or a bag up on a shelf, and you wouldn't know that she was guarding it until you got within her space, and she would bite you really hard. She sent me to the doctor a lot, but it was pretty well resolved with high value things. We could trade it, but with everything else, she was pretty chill. Once we'd worked her through it a fair bit. But yes, she was very bad at her worst. Oh my God, really unsuitable for a family with kids.
Yeah. Now, the other thing I want to know is, who is the person who inspires you the most as a dog trainer?
So that would be someone who isn't alive anymore. She died in the 60s. Her name was Blanche Saunders. And I know you know a fair bit about her because I talk about her a lot. I fangirl big time.
There's also, for everyone on here, there's videos on YouTube of her training. So go and check them out. They're actually really good.
Yeah, she's just a really... I know a lot of people put a lot of stock in Bill Keeler and how much influence he had on the industry, but when you compare the two, it's, Blanche Saunders is by far the most influential person in the industry and in dog training in general, not even in the industry, sorry, even amongst pet dogs. She kind of came on the scene in the 30s and helped promote competitive obedience with the AKC. She went on this 10,000-mile journey in a trailer with her friend, whose name I've completely forgotten, who actually was the lady that started, Helene Whitehouse Walker. She actually started competitive obedience in the States. But they would travel around, and Walker would work the crowd, and Blanche would work the dogs, and her breed was poodles. So they traveled around with these 3 dogs and promoted obedience and went to breed clubs and various training clubs and just showed what their dogs could do and the utility of it. She helped a big deal with Dogs for Defence in the States, which was a volunteer-run military working dog program that started up in the 60s, completely volunteer-based. She was the first to ever create dog training videos for people, how-to videos. I can't remember exactly when they came out. It was 50s, 60s, something like that. She was like a media guru. She had her face everywhere. She was on the radio, on TV, just promoting obedience. Started clinics. She called them clinics, seminars. She would run them for free. So she was the first person in the world to start doing that. And it would often accompany her judging. So she'd go to different obedience clubs and would judge various tests, and then afterwards give a free clinic on everything from judging parameters to puppy training, all that. She, what else did she do? By the time she died in the 60s, there were about 10 other trainers in the States that were doing clinics, and some of them were charging a lot. She was free, I think, for all of her life. And then I think it was probably about 10 years later, and there was upwards of 50 that were doing clinics. She also incepted, in a way, pet dog obedience. So she paired with the New York ASPCA and ran pet dog obedience classes. In her head, I don't think there was much of a distinction at that time. It was the 40s that she started that. But over time, it became different. As we know, pet dog and competition obedience are the two very different things. But she did a lot to promote high standards of training, even for pet dogs, which is something that became increasingly relevant in the 70s, post-war, World War II. So anyway, yes, she was awesome. I can't say that her training was particularly influential to me. It was fairly stereotypical escape avoidance training, but she did use food and did cop a lot of flack from it from other trainers of that era. She championed looking at why are dogs behaving the way they are if they're having a problem. So if they're afraid of a car, whereas a lot of people might force a dog to just deal with it, she was very much like, no, dogs are afraid of cars because they haven't had much exposure to it. It hasn't been positive. So she would recommend people feed their dogs in the car and slowly work them up to actually driving. But as far as just her influence on the industry and on dog training today, I think she's a little known figure that should be a common household name. Yes, so she's
especially among dog trainers.
Bloody oaths. I'm shocked when people haven't heard of her, but I didn't hear of her like 2 or 3 years ago, so can't really.
Yeah. All right. So now tell us a little bit about you. What's your business name? What do you do? How do people learn from you, and how can they work with you?
So my business name is Abikhair Dog Training. I'm based in northern New South Wales. Australia, not New Zealand or the States. I do pet dog, regular pet dog behavior modification, obedience. I also do some nose work. So I do classes, drop-ins, field trips. Had a bit of a lull the last couple of months, just the weather hasn't been conducive to training, but we're getting back into it in April. I'm hoping that it would have cooled down by then.
Yeah, most countries, the training would probably stop because of cold weather. Not an Aussie. Not an Aussie.
Yeah.
It's the weather's
Give me
just
cold
too
weather.
good.
Give me cold weather any day. It's been like 100% humidity. It's freaking hot every day.
Hey, move to New Zealand. I have told you this.
No. Then it's going to rain all day. The rain makes me sad. I don't want to. Anyway, yes.
Right, so you've also written a book. Tell us about that book.
On nosework. So it's called The Complete Guide to Nosework and Scent Detection Training. It's a bit of it's on Amazon as well. I think it's only on Amazon. So it's a bit of it's a book that can appeal to rookies, experienced folk, whatever. Yeah.
Cool. And if people are not in Aussie, how can they work with you? Or even like you're doing a seminar soon in Melbourne.
Yes. Yeah. So I do seminars occasionally. If people want my feedback or insights into nosework, they can send me videos. We can do Skype consultations, or if they send me videos, I can review it and send them back my critique and everything. So we can do distance as well.
Excellent. Awesome. Now, thank you so much, Jackie, for taking the time out of your busy schedule and doing this chat with me today.
Thank you, Luzelle, for hosting me.
Oh, my pleasure. We'll do it again sometime.
Yes,
we might have some more to chat about.
Yes, I'm sure we do.
Well, we always have a ton to chat about. But anyway, thank you so much, Jackie, and catch you again later.
See ya.